Hey, all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And, Una, this hasn't happened in a while, and I'm very excited. It's Rocky news.
It's Rocky news!
So for those of you who have not listened to our podcast before, or haven't listened to the initial episode, Rocky De La Fuente is the patron saint of our podcast. He ran for Senate in 8 different states in 2018. He's legally not allowed to own a bank, and he's running for president this year on many different party tickets.
Yes.
But so apparently the California Secretary of State, every presidential election year, has a high school mock election. And unlike other states that do this, they actually collect all the results from the various high schools that participate.
Oh my God.
So first place, not a huge surprise, Joe Biden, 67%.
Hey, good
After
on
that,
you.
Donald Trump with a little less than 18%, so kind of on the, what you would expect from California. Huge shock, third place, Gloria La Riva, getting 5.62% of the vote.
Well.
But sitting at fourth, Rocky De La Fuente with 4.32% of the vote.
He has 4.32% of the youth vote. Rocky, good work.
Beat out Howie Hawkins and Joe Jorgensen.
Wow.
I guess high schoolers just don't like libertarianism anymore. That's a huge shock to me.
They haven't been given their standard issue Ayn Rand.
Oh my God.
Well, he's a hometown hero. San Diego.
That's a great point. I'm sure there are a lot of San Diegans who are like, yeah, we got to vote for Rocky. We can't until the next election, whatever he's running for.
As a 16-year-old in this sham election, showing me just how much of the popular vote California depends on to do anything, I'm going to throw my weight behind. Wait, hold on. Were they really voting for Rocky, or were they voting for Kanye, who has been added to Rocky?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Yeah, I don't know if this was like if the vice presidents were actually on the ballot as well.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a good question. But then that makes me wonder how the fuck Gloria La Riva, who, she is from San Francisco, so she does have that hometown thing, and she might have gotten a lot of San Franciscans in there. And she is representing the Peace and Freedom Party, as well as the Party for Socialism and Liberation. So the Peace and Freedom Party in California might have been enough to pull in 5% of high schoolers to be like, yeah, I like both of those.
Yeah, I can see a 14-year-old being like, I'm voting for peace.
Yeah, oh my God, like 15-year-old Dusty would have been all about that shit.
Yes.
That optimistic moron.
Oh.
On that note, let's go back to talking about our other optimistic moron.
Yes.
A sweet, sweet summer child by the name of Horace Greeley.
God, he's such a summer child.
Now, when we last left off, the North had won the Civil War, and our old friend Horace Greeley was both super in support of Abraham Lincoln and slowly returning towards his more pacifistic tendencies. Primarily that he openly advocated for the North to forgive Southerners who had fought against them. Horace's theory, which is pretty damn accurate, is that if Confederates were to be mass jailed and executed, that it would make them martyrs and inspire more people to rebel and break the fragile peace. And that attitude probably would have lasted if it wasn't for the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So while today we know that John Wilkes Booth was just a famous actor who took it on his own to murder the president, but the popular conspiracy of the time was that Booth had been part of Jefferson Davis's final plan of attack against the North. Popularity of this theory grew to the point that the new president, Andrew Johnson, issued a $100,000 bounty at the capture of Davis.
Holy shit.
So Jefferson Davis and his wife Verena would be captured in Irwinville, Georgia during their attempted escape to Cuba. Upon his arrest, Horace demanded that Davis face justice for all of his crimes against the Union and America. But then things would get a bit complicated. Instead of being given an immediate trial, Davis and his wife were transported to Fortress Monroe in Virginia, where he would be kept prisoner for 2 years. So Davis would be charged with treason, but that's kind of a sticky wicket and would be one of the main reasons why he wasn't given a speedy trial as the Constitution demands he should have been. And we'll get to those reasons here in a bit. But for the first year of his imprisonment, his ankles were shackled at all times. He was allowed no visitors, including his wife and family, and the only book he was allowed to read was the Bible. So really cool fucking time for Jeff.
Ugh.
Davis's health began to wane to the point that doctors at the fort warned that if he wasn't given better lodging, that he would soon die. In the second year, a new general was placed in charge of the fort, and Davis's condition slowly began to improve. The new general allowed Davis to be joined by his wife and daughter, and allowed them to receive mail. One such package that Davis would receive would be a portrait of Pope Pius IX, inscribed with the words from Matthew 11, verse 28. "Come to me, all you that labor and are burdened, and I will refresh you, saith the Lord." Since Davis wasn't Catholic, it was kind of an odd gift to give him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, why is he getting a care package from the Pope?
Oh yeah, because it was directly from the Pope. The Pope in the Vatican just sent this to Jefferson Davis because at the time, people were starting to view him as a political prisoner.
There
was also like some rumor that there was a handmade crown of thorns that got sent to Jefferson Davis, And a rumor started going around that Pope Pius IX made it himself. But other
Oh
people
my
are just like,
God.
no, his wife makes those. That's where he got it.
Okay, but let's pause for a second and just imagine the world where Pope Pius IX has an Etsy store
Oh my God.
and a little bit of a fanfic Tumblr issue.
Oh God. Pope Pie, come on, man.
He's just like writing up some letters and putting together. Like, I'm imagining this crown coming from him with not glitter, but certainly like a little bit of confetti. Like he did it up.
Oh my God, yes. Included his manuscript, The Civil War, Only a Kiss Can Solve.
And like doesn't get either that this man has been in really terrible jail conditions. He's just like, I just feel like you're being so brave right now.
I, I just want bread with a spice in it. That's all I want. I just want a biscuit that isn't bone fucking dry.
Just any kind of goddamn butter.
I want one person who knows how to make grits to work here. You know, Southern issues.
Yeah.
So in 1866, the House would vote 105 to 19 to support a trial of treason against Davis. But once again, this didn't actually begin to start the trial. And it also didn't help that such a trial would be a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. On one side, let's say Davis is found guilty. Then that's probably going to completely fuck up any chance of Reconstruction continuing to go on peacefully. So Reconstruction is a period after the Civil War where the North agrees to fix the South, to rebuild everything that we burned down. But the trade-off is if we're going to, rebuild Atlanta, you have to treat Black people as humans. You have to let them vote. You have to let them enter into your society. Please stop killing them. Just
Yeah.
let them live and we'll help you rebuild everything. And the South said, we are fine with part 1, but we're going to be complete dicks about part 2 for the rest of time.
Yeah. And I think it's like, again, we've talked about this a lot. The public school education, I remember, I think we got a week maybe on Reconstruction, maybe a couple days.
Oh yeah, we barely got anything on Reconstruction.
But I do remember that it's like you had Black senators for the first time. Like they actually like fairly immediately.
Oh yeah.
There was a window of opportunity within Reconstruction where it's like, it's kind of working, you guys.
Yeah. That's I really wish we learned more about Reconstruction just because the Civil War just ends with a neat little bow and then a tragedy, but it's like a cliffhanger to whatever you're gonna do next, which is probably the Great Depression. I don't really remember.
Teapot Dome scandal or like Gilded Age.
We gotta get to Harding fucking in the White House. It's what the kids want to learn.
Yes. Oh, and then it's spring break and everyone's forgotten everything.
Oh my God. Did everyone forget that McKinley got shot? It's fine.
Who? World War II. Just keep going.
All right, great. I'm not tenured yet, so let's just move on. So on one hand, if he's found guilty, then that's really going to fuck up Reconstruction. However, if he's found innocent, then they might accidentally make secession constitutional. Because if the whole basis of treason is that the South seceded and he's found innocent, then that's case law right there, that you have set a precedent.
Oh my God, this is so dumb. I love and also hate how many of our episodes are coming down to the fact that like American law, it might as well be the machinations of Pope Pius IX, wondering how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. Like it makes as much sense. And
it's pretty much a bunch of Batman villains and being like, you've fallen into my trap, United States law. But I mean, now that the House is like, all right, let's move forward with this trial, President Johnson decides, okay, we're going to get 12 white men, 12 black men, and we're going to have them on retainer to be the jury for whenever this trial happens. But, also, isn't it kind of fucked up that Jefferson Davis and his family had been held prisoners for 2 full years before this even happened? Yeah, I mean, the Sixth Amendment is very clear on delaying a trial on purpose isn't exactly a very legal thing to do, even if you are doing it for the reason that everything's going to fuck up no matter which way this thing goes. But at least that's what Horace Greeley thought. And in the second year of Davis's imprisonment, Greeley began writing editorials that Jefferson Davis should be put on trial or be immediately set free, and that keeping him locked up was a direct violation of the Constitution. And, Horace being Horace, prodded until Jefferson Davis was finally offered bail. A bail that was set at $100,000, or $1.8 million today. And that bail would immediately be paid by 3 people. Railroad Baron Cornelius Vanderbilt.
What?
Staunch abolitionist and former Congressman Garrett Smith of the Liberty Party, which, if you remember back during the Lincoln Four-Parter, Garrett Smith was the guy who the Liberty Party nominated despite the fact he was too sick to leave his house.
Oh, I do remember him.
He was too sick to leave his house, and he's still alive. And he has the money to go in on Jefferson Davis's bail.
And he says, okay, all right, okay.
And the third man, say it with me, Horace Greeley.
Chip in $20? What kind of money does he have?
I mean, he's got that fancy newspaper money. He has the best-selling
Oh,
newspaper in America at this point,
yeah,
and
okay,
it's been that way
okay.
since before the Civil War.
He's just not throwing it around Vanderbilt style.
Exactly, yeah. Horace is, he's building concrete homes. He's like
Oh my
doing weird
god.
farm tests on his yard. He's avoiding his wife at all costs.
Oh my god. Yeah, he needs a hobby, and apparently it's bailing out Davis.
Yeah. So Jefferson Davis, overwhelmed by the goodwill of these three men, two of which being ideological opposites of him, rewarded them by immediately fucking off to Quebec and avoiding any trial that may have happened.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is why you don't set bail.
Exactly. Oh my god. No. Well, I mean, bail's evil.
No, no,
Let's
no,
all
yeah.
just agree that bail is evil.
How about that's why you seriously consider not setting bail for, I don't know, white collar criminals.
Yeah, yeah, they will fuck up to some place that's hard to spell.
And they will have the money.
Or at least know people who do.
Yep.
But really, though, it's probably for the best. I mean, the trial is a hell of a catch-22, and being able to ignore Davis for a few years probably felt like a gift to the already horribly despised Andrew Johnson, who sucked at his job overwhelmingly. Fun tidbit about Andrew Johnson. I'm just going to go off script here. So Andrew Johnson was kind of forced onto Lincoln during the second election because Andrew Johnson was a Southerner. He was from Tennessee, but he supported the Union. And so after Lincoln was assassinated, you now have a Southern dude as president, and people were pissed because it seemed like, oh, the South, you kind of planned this, didn't you?
Oh,
But they
again.
didn't.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
love the conspiracy theories. Again, the internet has always been with us.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jefferson Davis is free. But the next couple of years wouldn't be so great for Horace, seeing as though people in the North fucking hated him for setting the arch-villain of the goddamn Civil War free.
Yeah.
But once again, Horace chose to follow his convictions, and despite losing subscriptions for a couple of years, he would eventually be able to gain back his lost subscription base. The same really couldn't be said for Horace's attempt to re-enter the political world. In 1866, Horace would run for Congress in New York's 4th District, a race where he would get his ass firmly handed to him. At the time, the 4th covered Manhattan's south side, so pretty much Hudson Square on the north, all the way down to Governor's Island in the south. And it just so happened that Greeley would be going up against the son of an Irish immigrant, a mechanic named John Fox.
Yes.
And you know how it goes in New York by now. Thanks to a combination of massive Irish immigration into New York City, to the point that there were more Irish people living in New York City than there were in Dublin.
Yes.
And the fact that all Republicans were still kind of known as being the people who took in the anti-Catholic know-nothings when their party ended, helped John Fox cruise to a freakishly easy win of 78.9% to Horace's 21.
You love to see it. Oh, sorry. I love to see it.
The Irish love to see it.
Yes.
It's been a hard, 10 years. Who could survive?
These Irish eyes are smiling.
So undeterred and fresh off of pissing off all of the North, Horace tried again to woo the New York House of Representatives into making him the newest U.S. Senator. However, he wouldn't be able to find any state representative who would support him this time. He would lose out to a guy by the name of Roscoe Conkling, and he would not receive a single vote in his endeavor.
Wow.
But hey, no one liked him in 1867, but maybe 1 year later they will again, right? Right?
Yeah.
So Horace would run to be
sure.
the Republican nominee for governor of New York in 1868, but would find out that no New York Republicans liked him anymore. At least not enough to nominate him to be the governor of New York that year.
Oh, Horace.
Yeah, and apparently Roscoe Conkling was also the guy who ensured that Horace would have no chance in hell of being the governor of New York.
Wow. And he does not have a votable name.
Oh, no. Yeah, Roscoe Conkling sounds like he seems like a side character you'd run into during Of Mice and Men. But at least things with the Tribune were going well. The dip in subscriptions had ended, and Horace was back to pushing for impeachment of Andrew Johnson, which sort of succeeded. He was impeached by the House, but the Senate found him innocent of just being a fuck-up. I'm sure it was deeper than that, I just don't remember. And he endorsed the newest Republican nominee, a general by the name of Ulysses S. Grant. Which is as good of a time as any for me to bring about this bit of bar trivia fun. Una, what does S in Ulysses S. Grant stand for?
Sloshed?
Nothing, actually.
Oh. Nice.
So you see, Ulysses had been born Hiram Ulysses Grant, and upon signing up for the army, he realized that his name tag, which would only show his initials, would spell out hug. And not wanting to seem like some kind of wuss, Ulysses was really hoping for a way out. And he got it when his army recruiter sent his name in incorrectly, stating that his name was Ulysses Simpson Grant. Viewing USG as a better alternative to hug, Ulysses just went with it. And his new name, US Grant, would lead his army friends to initially begin calling him Uncle Sam, which they would then just shorten to Sam.
Aww.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cute. I was reading about Grant, and just the image I have of him is actually completely different from who he was as a person, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah, so there are a number of really good biographies about him, but none of them can hold a candle to his own memoir, which apparently is a fantastic read. And he's a total, like, very smart, very, from from my secondhand knowledge of it, very sensitive introvert
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
a
it, yeah.
terrific drunk. Like the kind of person I wish I could not remember a night with.
Oh my god, yeah. Like I envision most White House galas to be kind of boring affairs where you have to watch how much you're drinking and you always have to find the drunkest person in the room just to make sure that you're not that person.
Yeah.
But with a Grant party, oh my
Yeah.
god, you are running a sprint marathon with the president.
Yeah,
Just go all out.
you're always good.
Yeah. It is a grad class after midterms party. So Grant would go on to win the election in 1868, and Horace continued to hire future famous people, such as poet Bret Harte, future Secretary of State John Hay, and novelist Mark Twain. And also his love for Fourierist utopias would get another boost pretty much after all of them had died off initially. So in 1869, Horace would back a brand new attempt to establish a utopia, but this time, they'd do it in Colorado. The Union Colony of Colorado was founded by Nathan Meeker, a fellow that we talked about for a bit during the beginning of the Battle of Aspen episode. So Nathan was a guy who became an Indian agent for the United States a decade after starting the Union Colony, and he would be justifiably slaughtered after constantly trying to gentrify and, quote, reform the youths.
Which always sounds to me like you're saying the youths.
Yeah. No, this isn't a My Cousin Vinny reference. This is a group of people who were originally from Utah.
Yes.
So anyway, back in 1869, Meeker would place an ad in the Tribune seeking new colonists who only needed 3 qualities to be able to move to the Union Colony. They needed to have a high moral character, they needed to be literate, and they needed to adhere to the temperance movement. Also, you have to pay a $160 membership fee before we go.
Hard pass, dude. No for me, dog. You pay me if I'm not drinking.
It is a long trip from New York to Colorado by horse.
It is not pleasant.
So Meeker got 3,000 applicants, of which he chose 700, and of those, 90 would bail.
My God, but hopefully with a no refund policy.
I know, right? I mean, one would hope, but yeah, 10% bail rate, that's pretty good. If you're throwing a party and like 12% of the people you invite don't show up, you have succeeded. You have done well inviting.
100%, especially for your own personal fundraiser of morally upstanding.
Come to my party. Everyone has to read. No one's allowed to drink, and bring me $160.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Una. It actually worked.
What?
While not everyone was cool with the super religious, non-drinky colony, the place found ways to bring in an income and keep the utopia afloat.
Yeah, from my $160 startup seed money.
I mean, look, it's a great start, and that probably was a huge fuck up that everyone else didn't do. Is everyone's like, look, guys, we have to start with something. We can't just show up and hope. We can't just move to the middle of Ohio and
really
spend a year talking about what we're going to make this money.
Yeah, this person was already thinking of venture capitalism's future. It's like, what are we starting with?
Yeah. So not only that foundation of money helped out, but they also developed a massive irrigation system that is still used to this day that allowed them to create a humongous yield of crops for years. And in 1886, the colony would be incorporated into its own city that we know today as Greeley, Colorado, a secular city where you can absolutely get tore the fuck up drunk.
Look for us in our post-corona tour of Gadfly.
Love it. Yeah. Join us at 3 breweries in Greeley, Colorado.
Please buy us a beer.
Oh, man. The post-corona times, if they ever happen.
Oh, God.
But why do you do all this successful stuff when you can just keep running for political office? And in 1869, Horace would try to be the Republican nominee for the state comptroller of New York, which I feel like is something that too many people we've talked about have run for specifically.
Yes.
That when everything falls apart, you're just like, fuck it, comptroller. I don't know what it is. Do it.
Comptroller is the safety school for all of these kids.
Love it. And once again, he would get zero support.
Oh my God.
And in 1870, he tried to run for Congress again, this time returning to the 6th district where he had won before. Now, at this point, the 6th included Chelsea, the Meatpacking District, the West Village, and Greenwich Village. And it would prove to be a much better fit for Horace. But it didn't help that he went up against the very popular incumbent Democrat Samuel Sullivan Cox. Horace would do much better than his recent attempts, but he would top out at 47.1%, losing to Cox by 6 points. He would get offered a consolation prize, though, via President Grant, the ambassadorship to Santo Domingo, which today we know as the Dominican Republic.
Ooh. Ooh.
But much like a pile of community-funded money intended for the smartest child in the area, Horace would turn it down.
Ah.
Like, I didn't earn that. I don't take gifts.
Send me to cabinetry school where I may fail on my own.
I love the cabinetry school's just going to be our litmus for everything now. But this leads us to the biggest moment of Horace's life. But first, we have to talk about the sheer fuck up that is the Ulysses Grant administration.
Yes, let's dive in.
So Grant is considered to be one of the worst presidents we have had. Previous historians back in the 60s would place him somewhere between Harding and Buchanan.
Wow.
Yeah, not great. And he's gotten a bit more of a push in later years because he did do some amazing things, and we'll get to those in a bit. But instead of his failure being based in incompetence or a thriving desire for power or an unstoppable urge for vengeance or a combination of the three, Grant's undoing came from him just hating confrontation. That's right. The general that turned around the Civil War for the North, the war hero himself, hated confrontation.
Just wait. He's a sensitive soul, you guys.
According to historian William A. DiGregorio, Grant was pretty much the juxtaposition of what you would expect. He hated the sight of blood, especially blood from animals. He wanted people to get along more than anything. He fucking adored cigars, and following the war he was gifted with around 20,000 of them, of which he gave out as many as he could. He would take piles of cigars along with him just to hand out to people as gifts, and then he tried so hard to smoke the rest of them, which is probably why he died of throat cancer.
I would have, high school me would have watched him be in love with another woman for years. Like that, I would have pined after him, pining after someone.
Oh my god.
That's how it would have gone down.
It's good to know baby Grant would have been you'd have been your lonesome crush.
Yes.
So that's the thing is Grant probably would have been a pretty decent president if only he hadn't surrounded himself with men more than ready to get their grift on. He surrounded himself with friends who were not his friends. They were people who'd be great to hang out with at a party, not the sort of people you want to rely on, and especially the sort of people you do not want to give power to.
Ulysses.
So his cabinet was so corrupt by the time of the 1872 election came around, Grant had already had to deal with 3 scandals, 2 of which happened during the re-election campaign. So the first I tried to figure out. I'm not a money doctor. I'm not some sort of coin surgeon, so I think I have this figured out as to what happened. So the first came in 1869, when a group of dudes by the name of Jay Gould, James Fisk, and Abel Corbin concocted a plan to corner the gold market at the New York Gold Exchange. So following the Civil War, as a way to kind of boost income, I think, New York established a stock exchange specifically just for trading gold. And so by cornering the market, that means that they would buy up as many shares of gold that they could to the point that they could dominate the market and then manipulate the price however they wanted. So the idea is if you get like, say, 90% of the gold in America, no one has anyone else to buy it from but you. Right. And so you can kind of just set the price however the fuck you want and then just be freakishly rich for the rest of your life. But this is if everything went as planned. Now, Jay Gould was already very experienced in the world of grifts, seeing as he made his money as a cotton smuggler during the war and used that to parlay himself into the directorship of the Erie Railroad.
Oh my God, true grifter.
Yeah, this is like a Mad Libs of shitty 19th century person. But the real boon to the team was getting Abel Corbin on board. You see, Abel happened to be married to Grant's little sister, Jenny. So Gould used this connection to begin planting ideas in Grant's head on how to rise the price of gold. Their ultimate plan, though, was in one day, they would make a purchase of $1.5 million in gold and make it appear as though the purchase was being done by people with close ties to the Grant administration. After making the purchase, they were set to make about $15,000 for every dollar that the price of gold rose. And in 5 days, the price of gold had rose by $133.50. Netting Gould and his conspirators an extra $2 million, or in today's money, $39 million in 5 days.
Oh, God.
But I will add onto this theoretical money, because they haven't sold it yet.
Right. It's God, the stock market. Okay.
So now they own the bulk of the gold shares in New York, but they have to sell them to get their fortune. But that part of the plan started to fall apart when the cost of gold dipped $3 in 2 days. Gould began to panic that the market would soon stabilize and they might end up with nothing. So he contacted every broker he could and demanded that they all pay $160 an ounce for their gold. And if they didn't, then Gould and his associates would raise the buying price the next time they came around to get gold. So it's either, all right, we own almost all the gold. It's $160 if you want it. The price is just going to keep going up the rate that we're doing it. So either buy now or fuck you, we're raising it again.
Ooh.
And so the fun thing about this is a crime. It's
Yeah.
called criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I was waiting for that part because it.
And it being a crime led for the brokers to all refuse en masse. And so Gould and his people responded by just buying more and more gold shares. And the cost of the price of the gold kept going up even further, technically making them even more rich, but also making them more poor in the process. But the amount of gold that they owned, around $50 million worth, was 3 times more gold than was in the entire city physically.
Oh no.
So now they're owning hypothetical gold.
So they're reaching into subprime gold at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
Yeah. This is a plan that I don't know what the mid 1800s version of cocaine was, but I would be terrified to see what happened if someone gave them cocaine at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to know it's always been like this.
Yeah, we've always been trading bullshit and dreams.
Although then again, maybe they were just slugging back original Coca-Colas this whole time. And there has just been Coke always on.
Oh my, just Doc Pepperton hanging out in the background being like, guys, seriously, this is just for relaxing. Stop what you're doing. You're gonna die.
Someone give me a fucking tonic.
Someone is going to break your knees.
Yeah, this is also getting into like serious mafioso shit, and I am here for it.
Yeah. So eventually Grant caught wind on what was happening. And so the story behind how he found out is Gould had attempted to do a bribe. And he had done so many bribes that he was just used to, like, here's the bribe. And people being like, well, thank you very much for the bribe. I will take this and move on about my days. So he had offered a bribe to one of Grant's secretaries. And it would have been a bribe for $250,000 worth of gold in like a trust. And Grant's fellow, who we're going to find out was actually doing his own grift, so he didn't need it, was like, no, sir, I am good. And Gould was so surprised that the guy said no, he didn't know what to do. And so then he tried to offer the money to Grant's wife, to which she said, I'm married to the president. I'm good. I don't need this. And so one day when Grant was out, I can't remember what he was doing. I want to say golfing, but I don't think that's at all what was happening.
Smoking cigars, man. He was just out.
Exactly. Smoking. I think that's the safest bet. And he was out with his secretary, and he caught word of what was going on in New York with all the gold. And his secretary is like, oh, that's what the $250,000 in gold was for. And informed Grant of what was happening. So Grant did hire one really good person. And his Secretary of the Treasury at the time was just very interested in trying to get rid of the war debt that America had and was willing to do it by any means possible. So this gold cornering was fucking up his plans. And so what they decided to do was the Treasury Department immediately started selling their own gold at a much lower rate to stabilize the price.
Hell yeah.
And it worked out. Sort of. It did lower the price of gold and then completely crashed the gold market and led the United States into a miniature recession that predominantly hurt farmers the most.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, this is uncomfortably familiar.
Just replace gold with savings and loans, and here we are. But as for Gould and his associates, most would remain very rich and not serve a single day in prison because they had all of their connections in New York City, and Tammany Hall's not going to make you go to jail. Fuck that shit.
Hell no.
And while Grant didn't do anything in the plot, he was too closely related for people not to think he was involved.
Like, quite literally.
Yeah.
His baby sister.
Yeah. Related. It's like everyone around you, your wife was offered a thing and you didn't know.
Oh, sweet, sensitive Ulysses.
It's like he's honestly like Jimmy Carter if he loved bourbon. It's like I didn't expect to come out of this feeling bad for Ulysses Grant, but here the fuck we are.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I feel Ulysses S. Grant's presidency, in my mind, has always been the sense that, like, with the desire to avoid confrontation, someone came up to him and was just like, "You are going to be on the presidential ballot." And he's like, "Oh, okay,
sure, I guess.
Fine.
Can I just stay home and smoke?
Can I just go
I'll
home?
100 cigars if I can go home,
please."
So 1872, we got the final two big scandals that happened. This one confuses me even more. So talking through the gold one, I think I figured that one out. This one is just weird. So this would be called the New York Custom House ring scandal, and this is the one that his secretary was involved in. So the idea that I got is that at the New York City docks, things would come in and there would be unclaimed goods. And things that were suddenly unclaimed, people would walk up and be like, oh, I think that's mine, but I need a place to put these things that are clearly not mine. And so a pair of congressmen and a few of Grant's secretaries worked out a deal where they bought a warehouse and at very high rates allowed people to store these unclaimed goods for as long as they wanted or until it was safe.
Oh, amazing.
So I think that's what was going on with that. More than happy for people to correct me on that, because I read it like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, I think this is what's happening, but I do not know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense in that, like, until shipping containers became a thing, which wasn't long ago, you like stuff would just arrive.
Yeah.
Like imagine going to Aldi and they never give you a bag. You are not allowed a bag, but you've been shopping like you're at some kind of fucking Mariano's or Kroger.
Oh,
And it's like, all right, it's going to be 12 cents or you can fuck right off. And your proud ass is like, well, I'm going to fuck right off. And then you're sitting there with bananas and a LaCroix box and a couple oat milks because they were on a deal.
I don't appreciate you describing the way I was the year after grad school.
We've all gone to Aldi. We've all done it. We've all been there and realized like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think this ahead.
Yeah, we've all played grocery limbo with $20. It's not fun. Suddenly you're very interested in what the tax rate is for groceries and soda.
So it just goes out there and like, yeah, you had all of those warehouses that then in the past 20 years became very expensive lofts. But at the time it was because they had to house things. And until someone came in from the interior and was like, yeah, I'm the one who ordered 20 grosses of bananas from Cuba. And sometimes it's like, I had the cocaine.
Man, I hate to break your heart on this one, but there's a couple gold prospectors. You will want to talk to them. All right, and so the third one, this one I completely get. This is a really good grift, and whoever came up with it, A+ gold star, would grift again. So this was called the Star Route Postal Ring. And so the idea behind this is the Postal Service at the time had a series of delivery routes that were called star routes, and these were typically in rural and hard-to-reach areas, most notably like the Pacific coast of California at the time. And so the problem, though, is that people just started making up routes and then selling them off to partner grifters, and then they would share the profits of the government contracts because no one could prove that there's like no Schenectady, California.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and this went on for a decent amount of time, but that's a very good grift.
Well, okay, but can we talk about how the grift now is that FedEx wants me to pay $20 to slow boat some parcel out to Nome, Alaska, and I have to sit there knowing that like they're taking $19 and giving the $1 to USPS for that last leg of the journey because they sure as fuck aren't going out to Alaska.
Oh God. Hello to everyone in Nome, I guess. So despite the corruption that surrounded Grant, the Republicans met in Philadelphia and chose to unanimously renominate Ulysses for a second term. And this would be the first time the party would ever do this. And all in all, it was a pretty dull affair. The only real issue being the Republicans replacing Grant's current vice president, a guy by the name of Schuyler Colfax. And they'd replace him with Massachusetts Senator Henry Wilson. Colfax made the mistake of saying he'd be up for the Republican nomination in 1872 if Grant chose not to run. But that caveat wasn't enough to keep Grant from feeling completely betrayed.
Oh.
And the thing, though, is that as normal as this convention would feel, it was not very representative of the 1872 election season, and it would completely ignore the Civil War within the Republican Party. So in 1870, a group of Republicans were growing very sick of the corruption surrounding Grant, but had also become very against the way that Grant was handling Reconstruction of the South. You see, while President Johnson had more of a soft approach to fixing the South, Grant didn't have the patience to wait for them to stop being as racist as they were. Grant would push for ratification of the 15th Amendment, guaranteeing, in theory, the right of all black men to vote. He sent the military directly to Georgia to force the state to sit elected black officials. He also created the Department of Justice and directed them to prosecute the fuck out of the Ku Klux Klan.
Granty.
And to these separatist Republicans, they believed that the only goals of Reconstruction were to end slavery and end Confederate nationalism. And to them, both goals were achieved by 1872. So Reconstruction done.
Yeah, states' rights, motherfucker.
And you know what? I think 2020's proved them right.
Oh, God.
So they saw Grant's fervor to establish the rights of people of color as over the top and completely unnecessary. And viewing themselves as far too different to remain as Republicans, they would split in 1870 and called themselves liberal Republicans.
What?
And turns out the people who loved this new party were mostly newspapermen. The editor of the Chicago Tribune was one, and another is Horace Greeley.
Horace!
So the new party gave an open door to anti-Grant Republicans, and jockeying for the presidency started as early as February of 1872. Turns out, 1870 was also the year that the brand new Labor Reform Party was founded, and in 1872 they met up in Columbus, Ohio, to either nominate their first ever president or just make a platform and agree to support whoever the Liberal Republicans nominated. And in the end, the Labor Reformers would split the difference and nominate the frontrunner for the Liberal Republicans at the time, Supreme Court Justice David Davis.
David Davis.
Yeah, great name.
Oof.
Don't see anything wrong with that. And yeah, so it's kind of weird. An actual sitting Supreme Court justice is like, I'm going to run for president. That seems fine. Like if Sonia Sotomayor stepped down to run for president.
Oh
That's the feeling
boy.
we have here. So most of Davis's stances were based on monetary ideas that I do not fully understand. But he did also support a nationwide 8-hour workday.
Ooh.
And while Davis would say that he wasn't actively campaigning for the job, he also wasn't turning it down. And it's kind of theorized that Davis viewed the labor reform nomination as the first step to making the liberal Republican nomination all his. Also in February, another recently formed party would make their first ever nomination in a series of many. The Prohibition Party, a party designed entirely to get people to stop fucking drinking, would nominate party founder James Black as their nominee, beginning a streak that, to this day, makes them the oldest third party to continually exist.
And that's because they can get up in the morning headache free.
I get it, you're not dying. Ugh.
Wow, your liver looks great.
Ugh. What is that? Organic kale? Ugh.
This wedding blows.
So finally would come May, when the liberal Republicans would get together in Cincinnati, Ohio. Going into the convention, the liberal Republicans were riding high, especially considering they had just won the governorship in Missouri and ousted the regular Republicans, with the help of the remaining Democrats in the state. The three men appeared to be the frontrunners for the nomination for president. The previously mentioned David Davis, the senator from Illinois, Lyman Trumbull, and former Congressman Charles Francis Adams. Charles also happened to be the son of previous President John Quincy Adams. And before voting even began, Davis began to get a barrage of poor coverage via the various liberal Republican newspapers, which led to a number of his backers fleeing to a new man. And who would that new man be? Mr. Everyone in Congress Hates Me, Horace Greeley.
Horace!
So Adams, however, would lead for the first 5 ballots, and on the last, he would come within 48 votes of winning the nomination. And the thing is, it probably actually could have been all his. The founder of the Liberal Republicans was a revolutionary German immigrant turned U.S. Senator by the name of Karl Schurz. Karl absolutely had the support to have won the nomination himself, but since he was born in Germany, he was constitutionally ineligible. Schurz, though, was a huge fan of Adams, and with a word, could have ensured that he was the nominee. But being the head of the party, he didn't want to show any partiality. So instead of endorsing Adams, he just sat back and let the convention go as it may. And on the 6th ballot, supporters of Lyman Trumbull and the remaining David Davis holdouts switched over to Horace Greeley. Horace was still 25 votes shy of the nomination, but the well of potential support for Adams had completely run dry. Sensing his loss, the 6th ballot was revised, and the final votes there went Horace's way. And like that, the liberal Republicans nominated probably one of the most liberal people in the country.
Ah, you played yourself.
Yeah, and one of the things, it was such a surprise that Horace Greeley won that the newspapers had no clue what to really make of it. One of the big things with liberal Republicans is they wanted higher tariffs for goods that were coming in. That was like one of their big campaign things. And Horace is like, no, we're protectionists. We don't import in. We do everything here in America. And so they're just like, you just nominated a guy who goes completely against the crux of your fucking party. What are you doing?
Like, were you even listening?
And the thing is, their platform ended up matching a lot of Horace's liberal tone. They demanded equality for all men despite race, religion, or nativity. They staunchly supported the new 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Their foreign policy was going to be one of pure pacifism and friendship. And they were going to ban railroads and other businesses from getting Western land grants, allowing only settlers to obtain land while they were in power. However, they also stated the South should immediately be allowed to return to normal and that Reconstruction is done, despite evidence already proving that if that happened, they would immediately find ways to disenfranchise the very people who had just been freed.
Yeah.
They also seem to place a stronger influence on states' rights and local government than Horace should have been comfy with, but then again, I mean, his utopia is kind of all about starting at the local level and building from there. So, who knows? But meanwhile, also in Cincinnati, there was another newly formed party, the Reunion and Reform Party, and they were holding their own convention on the exact same fucking days. But the thing is, when the liberal Republican platform came out, they realized, oh shit, we're the same party. And so they just released a similar platform and nominated Horace as well.
What?
1 week later, another brand new party would hold their convention in New York City. The Equal Rights Party, which will absolutely be getting its own episode at some point.
Oh, I can't wait.
But this moment in history is really far too big to ignore. Because the Equal Rights Party would choose for their ticket Victoria Woodhull for president and Frederick Douglass for vice president. She would be the first woman ever nominated for president, and Frederick Douglass would be the first ever African-American to be nominated for vice president, or any high office for that matter. Sadly, Woodhull's life would be turned completely to hell thanks to, and let me check my notes here, all men.
Misogyny.
Misogyny is back, and better than ever.
Don't call it a comeback. It never left.
And pretty much the Equal Rights Party would be denied ballot status in every single state. And Una, are you sick of new parties yet? Because too bad. There's another. But this one is a bit more of a reboot than an invention. You see, the Anti-Masonic Party was originally founded in 1828 in reaction to the disappearance and probably murder of William Morgan, a man who claimed to have all the secrets of the Masonic Rite and was going to spill the probably very boring details. But when he disappeared, the country, particularly New England, went completely bugfuck to the point that a whole political party started out of pure Mason hatred. And so I probably should also say the Masons are a fraternal organization started by stonemasons that, depending on who you ask, is either a boring clubhouse of dudes hanging out in funny hats or the original fucking Illuminati.
Yep.
Or
100%.
somewhere in between.
Yeah. Listen, can it be both?
I mean, one would hope, but I think more people would join if that was the case. Fun fact, I actually got a scholarship from the Masons when I was going to undergrad.
Shut
It was like
up.
for $100. It was not a world controlling amount of money. So the old version of the anti-Masonic Party would die in 1840, but in 1872, a fellow named Jonathan Blanchard was ready to bring it right back. Not so much for Illuminati reasons, but because he seemed to have more of a hardcore Presbyterianism to him and a strong distrust for secret societies of all kinds.
Someone didn't get into Yale.
So after bringing the party back from the dead, Blanchard had everyone meet up at the Second Congregational Church in Oberlin, Ohio. Back, baby! Something's happening in Oberlin.
Oh, hopefully they're clothed.
And they would end up choosing the liberal Republican runner-up, Charles Francis Adams, as their nominee.
Hey.
Charles would do absolutely nothing with this nomination, but hey, looks good on a resume, right? Another fun fact is this guy, Jonathan Blanchard, actually ran a number of colleges. Most notably, at least for folks in Chicago, he is the reason that Wheaton College currently has its name.
Huh.
Yeah, apparently there was a farmer who gave up all of his land. He's like, all right, we'll name the college after you while I'm running it.
Okay. And for those outside of the Chicagoland area, Wheaton is of the, I would say, like, Christian liberal arts schools.
Yeah.
One of
like,
the
I
top
think you can
tier.
listen to Amy Grant while you're there, but I would not listen to anything harder than that.
No.
And finally, and I promise you, we have one last nearly brand new party, because technically this isn't a brand new party. It's the National Working Men, a union based in New York City, and for some reason they decided to hold their own convention, probably because they had aspirations of turning themselves into a political party as well, with a strong focus on labor rights. They would nominate Grant, and about 2% would go to Horace, and nothing would come of this.
So it was just a bunch of dudes who got together.
Yeah. Well, and
Great.
part of the reason too is after the Civil War, a lot of brand new political parties started forming up because it kind of looked like the Democrats were going to completely fall apart.
Yeah.
And so people are just jockeying to be the next big party because there's got to be a second.
Yeah.
I mean, there can't be a third, but there's got to be a second.
Can't see from the union, but we could start a new political party.
Hey guys, I got a curtain and a camera. Let's start a new political party.
Oh my gosh.
But do you know who's missing from this entire shit show who I haven't mentioned yet?
Great. No, I have no idea.
No, your silence is wonderful because it's the Democrats.
Oh.
And you can't have a shit show without the Democrats.
Who's going to be in disarray?
They would meet up in Baltimore, a city where multiple Democratic conventions have gone completely sideways. And they would meet up at the newest branch of Ford's Theater chain of theaters. Come on by. You probably won't get shot in the head.
Come on by. It was just that one. Don't generalize.
I know you're in Baltimore, but maybe don't hold your convention at the chain where the president got killed.
Who is in charge of your image?
So yeah, the Democrats have always been the Democrats, despite the ideology. It's kind of amazing. So there was a small bit of support for former Secretary of State Jeremiah Black, and a little less for former Delaware Senator James A. Bayard, but the real frontrunner for this convention is giving the fuck up. So for a bit of context, it's not like they're just laying down because the last election went so poorly.
Yeah, this isn't 2000, you guys.
So in 1868, they had nominated New York Governor Horatio Seymour, who looks very much like a Horatio Seymour. And in the popular vote, Horatio had gotten 47% of the vote. But it's the electoral vote where things looked really bad, where Horatio was only able to win 8 of the 34 states. But still, nowhere near bad enough to just up and quit. The real Democrat fear was that another term of the hard-ass Reconstruction brought on by Grant would hurt them even more. And with the liberal Republicans already looking to be a major anti-Grant force, the Democrats became worried that if they stayed in the race, they would guarantee a Grant victory. So, in 6 hours, the shortest convention ever held by a major party in America, the Democrats voted to endorse Horace Greeley.
Let's just do it.
But of course, the Democrats being the Democrats, a group would splinter off. This group would meet up in Louisville and nominate lawyer Charles O'Connor for president. They would dub themselves the straight-out Democrats and advocated for a full-on states' rights get out of the fucking South and leave us be policy. So upon receiving the news of this nomination, O'Connor made his way to the telegram office and told these new Democrats that I am not interested. Thank you. But you know what? Why let that get in the way? So the straight out Democrats just kept him on the ticket, along with John Quincy Adams II, who was all too jazzed to be their vice presidential nominee. He was stoked. And honestly, as stoked as he was, you should have made him the presidential nominee.
Yeah, give it
Because
to
then
the
you could have
guy.
had two kids of John Quincy Adams running for president at the same time.
Man, dynasty much?
So also by this point, David Davis had informed the Labor Reform Party that he was dropping out of the race. So the Labor Reform Party followed the straight out Dems and endorsed O'Connor as well, to which he also said, thanks, but I'm good. And finally, and I promise you, we have a field full of candidates, full of mostly brand new parties, and one major party pretty much just giving up for the year.
Yeah, this is a cock up. What else we got?
Harper's Weekly would note, though, that the clear fight was between Grant and Greeley, or as one anonymous person put it, a battle pitting a man of no ideas against a man of too many. This appears to be the first historical moment of shit sandwich or
Yeah.
douche or shit sandwich.
First public use in the OED.
So while Grant would continue the tradition of not actively campaigning, Greeley went and did the exact opposite and would deliver up to 22 speeches a day on the campaign trail, totaling about 200 by the time he was done. But while Grant wasn't out campaigning, he did have a very big voice on his side, a political cartoonist by the name of Thomas Nast. Now, Nast also worked at Harper's Weekly, and his work can best be described as merciless as fuck, and also occasionally racist as shit.
Yeah.
Nast was also biased as all hell. He was a Republican through and through, and during the elections of 1864 and 1868, he threw all of his full support behind Lincoln and Grant, doing everything he could to malign the Democrats running against them. So when Horace Greeley became the nominee against Grant, Nast went hard in the fucking paint. He drew Horace like an egg, with Bernie Sanders' hair, and always made a point to draw Horace's very weird beard. Now, by this point, Greeley had a bushy white beard that started about an inch behind his jawline,
Oh no.
and it was long.
Oh
And since it was long, it had a habit of kind of curling up when it hit the collar. So it looked kind of either like a very sad lion's mane or like his chest hair had somehow made its way to the neck.
Oh no.
And to be
Just
even,
trim that, bro.
I don't know why he never did. Even in his statue in New York City, that beard is fucking there.
Neck beard for all times.
And to be even more cruel, it was the one aspect of Horace that Nast didn't exaggerate.
Damn.
It's some harsh cruelty. But while we're talking about cruelty, let's talk about some of the pictures that Nast drew. I picked the three meanest I could. Well, starting from like, yeah, you made a point to just like that's fucking cruel. So the first one is a cartoon titled "What I Know About Horace Greeley," and so the funny thing about this is the title itself is a play on a thing. In 1871, Horace wrote a book called "What I Know About Farming." And it was based off of his childhood recollections and the results of his experimental farming techniques in Westchester County at his home, Rehoboth. And it had sold kind of well, but people were also like, why the fuck do I, like farmers were like, why the fuck would I want to read this? Like, Horace,
Yes.
you're not a farmer. Fuck off.
But he is a hipster, and he absolutely should have a book about farming.
Oh my God. Yeah, we do need to press very hardly Horace Greeley, the first ever millennial hipster.
100%.
So it's a 2-panel comic. And the first panel is labeled The Traitor, which shows him paying Jefferson Davis's bail and kind of bowing towards him. And panel 2, The Patriot, shows Greeley ready to sling mud at a respectable-looking President Grant who's reading about civil rights on his porch.
Damn.
Another's called They Are Swallowing Each Other, depicts Horace eating a Tammany Hall politician slash KKK supporter, while the other man swallows Horace, sort of like an Ouroboros of horror.
Yeah.
And yeah, both of them just kind of have unlocked jaws, so it's just like feet are in, legs are in. It is just entire dude eating in a circle. And just as a little bit of a needle, inside Horace's pocket is a pamphlet entitled What I Know About Swallowing.
Oh, shit.
Most damning, though, would be a comic called Red Hot, where Horace sits on a stool. His feet are nowhere near the ground, and he's eating out of a giant steaming bowl titled My Own Words and Deeds. And Horace, of course, is sweating his ass off, and in his pocket is a pamphlet entitled What I Know About Eating My Own Words.
This is amazing.
It's the meanest. Like, I would never want to be on Thomas Nast's side. It also doesn't help that Nast and Grant were best friends.
Oh,
So this
God.
is like personal for Nast.
Yeah. Nast short for nasty.
Oh, I love it. So it also didn't help that since the Democrats chose to endorse Horace, the Republicans could now use a tactic called waving the bloody shirt. Very simply, this is just reminding people that for the most part, the Democrats supported the South during the Civil War. And why the fuck would you vote for someone that those kind of people like? And if you vote for Horace Greeley, you might as well just go to the war memorial and piss on all the graves of all the dead Union soldiers. And to make things even worse,
Oh,
for
God.
Horace at least, Grant and his Secretary of the Treasury had pretty much fixed the economy. His
Ooh.
Secretary of the Treasury was that good. He knew that like flooding the market with cheap gold would fuck things up for a bit, but shortly thereafter, like a few months later, everything was back to normal, if not thriving. And sure, there were tons more scandals that Grant didn't know about, but neither did the public, and they wouldn't until after the election. So once again, as our stories go, Horace would need to run a perfect campaign to even have a chance of toppling the incumbent president. And a perfect campaign was not at all what Horace had in his future.
Was it at all what he had in mind either?
Probably not. I mean, first, Horace had a real issue of just saying the wrong shit in front of the wrong people. Horace has many beliefs. 60% of them are even today weird, and the rest then were weird. Like, what do you mean women should be hired? But he would go to all these places and all these swing states and say, shit that nowadays seems pretty fucking sensible, but then probably got him run out of town a couple of times.
Yeah, especially, like he's not going to win the women vote. It doesn't exist yet.
Exactly.
I'm in favor of him saying these things out loud,
Yes.
but
And I'm glad he is. Like, I'm glad he's not trying to hide what he actually believes, and really never in his life has he ever tried to hide his beliefs, which in and of itself is very commendable, even though throughout the Civil War, his beliefs changed every week.
But he was out and proud with whatever belief he had that week, and that's what matters.
Yeah. And so he also wouldn't be helped very much by his running mate, liberal Republican governor of Missouri, William Gratz Brown. Now, William Gratz Brown is kind of a shady motherfucker because during the liberal Republican convention, he was doing everything he could to try to get rid of the power that Carl Schurz had and try to take the party over for himself. And in the process, ended up getting himself nominated vice president. So the problem with this, though, is that he had a habit of just completely fucking up speeches and stating the wrong things he stood for. He also passed out before a speech in New York City, which even today doesn't go very well. But worst of all, at a speech at Yale, he showed up completely hammered and still gave the speech.
Oh man, I want to party with this guy.
But the thing is, like, if the main argument you have against your competitor is that he's a drunk, maybe your vice president shouldn't show up drunk to Yale.
That's
I mean, saying at least he's the vice president is not a strong argument, Horace. And I know he wasn't your pick, but come on, man. And so it was a bitter race, and one that Horace was not at all prepared to run. By the end of the campaign, like a true Scots-Irish descendant, he had taken every mean thing that people had said about him, placed them right next to his heart, so his brain would know where they were, so it could reference them right before he fell asleep. Greeley would state by the end he didn't know if he was running for the presidency or the penitentiary. And while Grant would end up winning, he did have one tactic that I have to bring up, because while it might have been a very selfish thing to do in origin, it was probably one of the most honorable things he could have done in that time. So Grant was worried that the South and the KKK may try to do everything they could to ensure that black people couldn't vote. I know, very out there, but it was a hunch. And since the Republicans ended slavery, they were set to be Grant's largest voting bloc in the South. So Grant sent in feds to the South to keep an eye on any voter intimidation, and by the end of the campaign, the Grant administration had arrested 1,000 people who had tried to intimidate black people from voting.
God, that sounds so nice.
Yeah.
It'd be so nice to have that.
And like I said, Grant would defeat Horace 55.6% to 43.8%. Straight out Dems didn't even get one. They got 0.3% of the vote. Did not do well. And that's why you nominate someone who wants the job. And the liberal Republican Party would end up dissolving after the election anyway, primarily because a lot of their demands would end up getting enacted before the next election anyway. And Horace, he had returned to New York City, just in time for his whole life to fall apart.
No.
In June, his wife Mary had returned from a trip to Europe, and while there, she had contracted tuberculosis. She held on for a while, but 1 month before the end of the campaign, she took a turn for the worse. Horace suspended his campaign to be by Mary's side. And 1 week before Election Day, Mary Young Cheney Greeley would die at the age of 61.
Oh.
Horace resumed editing the Tribune after the election, where he shortly realized that while he was gone, a plot had formed to oust him from the paper completely. He began to grow insomniatic, and 1 week after the election, he left the Tribune office for the last time. At the recommendation of his doctor, Horace moved to Choate House, a sanitarium for mental and nervous disorders in Westchester County. He grew more and more sick, and 2 weeks after entering the sanitarium, after losing his wife, the paper, and the election, Horace Greeley would pass at the age of 61.
Oh.
And so while he had been pilloried in the media and across the country, and despite him requesting a very simple funeral, Greeley would be honored with hundreds of guests, including newspaper rivals, lifelong friends, and a multitude of politicians led by President Grant. Harper's Weekly, who spent weeks publishing Nast's burned book of cartoons, declared, "Since the assassination of Mr. Lincoln, the death of no American has been so sincerely deplored as that of Horace Greeley, and its tragical circumstances have given a particularly affectionate pathos to all that has been said of him." And there's also one other little bit of a bonus, and why we're kind of talking about Horace right now, is Horace died before the Electoral College could vote. And sure, Grant's gonna win, but the electors aren't allowed to vote for a dead guy. And so this kind of brings up, like, hypothetically, what happens if a candidate dies so
Alternate
close to an
universe.
election or after the election?
Hmm.
And so the answer is Greeley's nominated electors got to vote for literally whoever the fuck they wanted. 42 would vote for a Democrat and former Indiana senator by the name of Thomas Andrew Hendricks. 18 voted for the drunk at Yale vice presidential nominee Benjamin Gratz Brown. 3 said, fuck you, we're voting for Horace anyway, I'm going home. 2 voted for former governor of Georgia and Democrat Charles Jones Jenkins, and 1 guy gave a pity electoral vote to David Davis. But hey, it's probably good that we don't say live in a pandemic where exactly something like this has a better chance than usual of happening, and that there's
Damn
precedent
it,
for the
Dusty.
electors to just go hog wild on whoever they want to be president. Lucky us.
Hey.
Yay. That's the tragic fucking story of Horace Greeley.
Wow.
A decent man.
A decent man with a politics addiction.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much better his life would have been if he was just never gifted that nomination for the House. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how he got that taste after being treated so badly for being so honest.
I wonder if it's the compulsion of wanting to be liked, or if maybe I am projecting.
I mean, I can kind of see that, especially knowing how personally he took all the attacks against him towards the end. He probably was a dude who just really adored being loved,
Yeah.
but not in a corrupt sort of way.
Oh, Horace.
Yeah, he's kind of a nice palate cleanser after Laura Loomer. Just
Yes. Yes.
Oh man.
Our sweet summer child.
Yeah, our sweet millennial before his time.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Even the hair would have been appropriate in Williamsburg.
100%. Yeah, he's millennial grandpa at that point.
And my heart goes out, but I love any opportunity that leads us into a complete clusterfuck of an election cycle as well as an added bonus.
They are the best, and we need to bring them back.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us again this week, everyone. Also, thank you everyone for putting up with our with the sound stuff. I have a new mic, as we've bragged about a couple of times, and I'm talking to a few voice recording friends. We've definitely talked through the whole thing of just like a better mic doesn't fix everything; it just gives you new problems. And so I'm working through those new problems. I thank everyone so much for that. But yeah, thanks for joining us here on Gadfly.
We are trying.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.